These are the things that I can no longer unsee that happen in relationships. Disclaimer, just because you might do one or some of these things does not automatically mean that you have low self-esteem, you're in a horrible relationship, and your man is a dick. Also, I'm not going back and forth with you, I'm just gonna block you, and if you feel the need to comment and say, well, just block me then, because first of all, I didn't give a shit about who you were before this post, and after I block you, I'm still not gonna give a shit about who you are. So the fact that you have to announce your departure or ask that I block you is fucking insane to me. Number one, people who post and talk about their relationships all the time. I'll never forget when I used to do that all the time. There was one particular relationship that I was in, and I talked and posted about it all the time. And this older woman commented on that post, and she said, gee, I'm really happy for you, but do you do anything other than talk about your relationship, sweetie? At the time, I got mad and I wound up blocking her, but Auntie was right. I often would talk about my relationship all the time because I found value in being picked by a man. And I also thought it was this big accomplishment that I was finally in a relationship. I wanted to prove that I was one of the cool women who was chosen. See, somebody actually does want me. And I also enjoyed the likes and the attention that I got from being in a relationship. I liked hearing people say, y'all look so cute together. And all of those relationships were usually not good ones. And I needed some kind of positive reinforcement that this relationship really wasn't as bad as it is. The guy would be nice to me one time out of 90% of the time that we were in a relationship, and I'd write a 15-page post about how he's the most wonderful boyfriend ever. If you drag your man out of obscurity, like you never talk about him, and then all of a sudden you're talking about him all the time, either one of you is trying to make sure that somebody knows that either one of you is there, like making your presence known. Or maybe you're a content creator and you realize that people put relationship on a pedestal and you need the views and engagement. So now you're bringing your partner out of the woodwork so you can create content and take advantage of that. Or maybe you need to prove to people that, see guys, I'm in a relationship. I'm one of the cool ones. If you're constantly making posts with your significant other or just a guy you're seeing and his face is always covered, I think that's weird. I get it. He doesn't want his identity to be shown, but why though? It's not like he's the fucking president or something. Nobody gives a fuck about Chad. I immediately think, is he cheating on his wife? Does he have other women in his life? Is he hiding from the government? Well, he just likes to keep his private life private, sweetheart. He posts everything short of his social security number, okay? He can't post you. He can't be seen with you. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm just trying to soft launch my boyfriend. I just want to keep my private life private. Then keep your private life fucking private then and don't post him at all. Well, the moment you post your man, that's where women come out of the woodwork trying to get at him. That says more about him than it does about them. Because if he was a really good guy, it wouldn't matter who came at him. He would still only have eyes for you. He wouldn't mind hurting their feelings, blocking them, or turning them down to keep your relationship in order. And quite frankly, it should be of the mindset of if somebody can take them, they can have them. If you start doing the opposite of what your standards once were, I know that you're settling. You were once super confident and said you wouldn't date a man that would talk to you this way or do this to you, and now you're dating a man who's talking to you that way and doing those things to you. You got scared that this would be your last opportunity to get into a relationship, so you just settled, and now you're making excuses for him. If he's doing something toxic and you use the excuse of, well, nobody's perfect, I'm not perfect. Yes, nobody's perfect, but he called you a bitch and he slept with your mom. That's way more than a human quirky flaw. Now, this is gonna piss off religious people and the wannabe femininity experts, but submission. I don't care how you explain it to me. I don't care how you sugarcoat it and wrap it up in a pretty bow. It's still fucking weird to me. Submission was made to keep women quiet so that men can do whatever the fuck they want to do and escape accountability for it. Why wouldn't you want to be in a team situation? Sure, there might be some situations where he might know a little bit more, so you go with what he says, and you might know a little bit more, so you go with what you say. Or there might be times when you guys can reach a middle ground, but this bullshit of the man is the umbrella that's over me to protect me from the rain. Shut the f. You're not dumb, okay? You're a real life human being with thoughts and feelings and ideas that should be heard, considered, and validated and put into use whenever they're really good. If you're doing everything and exhausting yourself and bending over backwards for your man and your reasoning is it's because he's a good man, but the funny thing is he doesn't reciprocate and do any of that shit for you, You're just doing those things simply because he exists and you're happy to have a man, any man, in your life. I've had women reach out to me and defend all the shit that they do for their husbands, and they all say the same thing: because I love him, because he's a good man. And the moment I say, well, what does he do for you? They can never fucking answer that question. Also, if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're just thankful because he brings home a paycheck, you're not 12 years old, okay? Your work and what you do to keep that house running and take care of those kids matters. It is valuable work. It is just as valuable as what he does outside of the home. If you excuse his bad behavior by saying, well, you know how men are. Yeah, I actually do. They're fully grown, logical human beings who are self-aware and understand the fact that they can take advantage of you anytime they want to, because you're going to excuse it by calling them a toddler, a child, saying, do you know how men are? People keep saying that men are dumb. No, they're not. They just use their power for evil instead of good. I mean, seriously, think about it. Those of us who have gotten out of toxic relationships, look at some of the dumb shit we used to do for them. They were well aware that they had that control over us, okay? If you're dating someone who doesn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, and your excuse is, well, everybody goes through hard times. Yes, that is most definitely true. But if you're going through that hard of a time, you need not be dating. You need to focus on getting yourself out of that hard time, getting yourself into a more stable position. When I first left my abusive ex-husband, and once I was trying to get out on my feet and I was telling somebody that I was on dating apps, they were honest with me and they looked at me like I was fucking crazy. And they were like, you are struggling to pay your bills right now. Going out with some random dude should not be on your list of priorities. No one should be dating when they are in financial crisis. You need to have your own shit. And no, that doesn't automatically mean you're a good man, but I would also like the peace of mind of knowing that you're not just with me because you think you can use my car and live with me, because that shit ain't going down. If you're dating a man who's in prison, I automatically know that you have low self-esteem and you think that you can't do any better. It makes you feel important and needed because you're keeping track of his court dates and phone calls with his lawyers. At least you have somebody, right? Meanwhile, this dude is simply using you because you put money on his books and he knows when he gets out, he's going to have a place to stay for free. Your relationship is going to have endless issues. Same thing for dating a man who doesn't take care of his kids or talk shit about his ex. He's not going to treat you or your kids any differently, and you can trick yourself into believing so, but you will soon find out. You might say, well, he's good to me, he's good to my kids. Yeah, now he is. That's the same way he got his ex. Something else that I can't unsee, and this does not mean that you're in a bad relationship or that your man is bad or that you have low self-esteem, just listen, but the patriarchy and how it's affected the order of how we do things. The order is marriage, take his last name, get a house, have kids, the kids take his last name, he goes to work, you stay home, or maybe you work, but you're still taking care of the home and you're still taking care of the kids. He leads, you follow. Or if you really want to shake things up and be a rebel, you might even hyphenate the names. But it's still the same order. So much so to the point where in 2024, people still think that a woman who is not married, who has a child, is not a good woman or doing something unrespectable or indecent or something. When a woman has wife and mom in her social media profile, and maybe she has her husband tagged, so I'm a nosy bitch and I click on his profile and he doesn't have none of that shit. As a matter of fact, you can't even tell that he has a wife and kids. I think that's weird.
Well, he just likes to keep his private life private. He's rarely ever on social media. Ooh, pick me. Things we tell ourselves to avoid the truth for 100. Did I win?
Also, who are you outside of being a wife and mother? What's going to happen when your kids grow up and go out on their own? What are you going to do then? I once had a woman tell me that I'm a bad mom simply because I went to the movies without my kids once. Sad. The moment I realized that a woman is doing way more in a relationship to keep that relationship going is heartbreaking to witness. So you always fly out to see him. You always drive to see him. You always move your schedule around to see him. You're always the one making the initiative and setting up dates and planning everything. Chores should not be gendered. It's not a woman's job to wash the dishes and the man's job to mow the lawn. Also, him spending a couple hours sweating, weed whacking, and mowing the lawn and getting rid of wasp nests does not compare to the countless hours of things you do to run the household and take care of him and take care of the kids.